Hey guys, thanks for joining me for another Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia video, and today we are taking on Jack, Garland, Shinryu, and we're getting all the missions cleared here, so basically we just have to bring Jack Garland and not use the friend unit, which is what we're doing. And talk about a unit that aged well, we're bringing Kain to this fight, and Kain really hasn't had any upgrades since his initial release, and he's the very first Force character in the game. And you know you're good when you got a kit that allows you to be used however many months later, right? It's been a hot minute since Kain dropped. And Kain here worked out in particular just because I liked that he is more of a... he's not a magic damage dealer, which I think works a little bit better with Jack Garland. But the big thing is I don't even worry about Kain for the Force time anyways, because the whole idea is I just want off-turn to kind of sit up in the air. And kind of do their thing, right? So that's kind of what I wanted there. And actually, Kain works out really nice here because the enemies target him quite a bit, even though he doesn't have lock or anything. I sometimes do put lock calls on Kain, but he can jump up in the air and the enemies will just swing and whiff because these enemies are kind of aggressive. So my choice of a team comp here, which is Jack, Garland, Lunafreya, and Kain, you know, it's a very aggressive team comp, right? It's not a very passive team comp. It's not a very safe one in terms of defense. We're not running Gladio. We don't have anything really mitigating damage here, right? So what I do is I play this fight very aggressively, and because my thought is I just have to get into a Force time with Jack Garland, and it's probably going to be a one Force time and we're out. So that's kind of what I try to go for here, right? So we're going to go through... do some Lunafreya stuff, get her set up a little bit. I debate whether I want to use her BT like this early, so I decide just to kind of cut her turn and keep going a little bit. I did use the quick pair on Kain, just to give Kain a couple turns, because I thought I could do a little bit of setup with him, maybe get his burst effect up before I like jump up in the air. So just to give Kain a couple of free turns to kind of set a few things up. But this fight actually went pretty well. Nothing too scary here, and then I do believe we brought the Raijin call, because the Raijin call is very helpful. Because, once again, the bosses are aggressive. You can see they have a bunch of thresholds, right? So, kind of the scary part of the fight is, like, when we come out of Jack Garland's burst phase, you'll see in a little bit here, the enemy basically takes free actions for all the thresholds we pass, so they get, like, 3 or 4 turns in a row. And I worry about dying, but it actually ended up being fine. So we'll kind of see that, because the thing is when those enemies take those free turns, I don't believe, I didn't actually look at it in this fight, but I've had fights like that before, where the enemies get like jump cut turns or free turns like from thresholds, and those actually don't like subtract from their debuffs. I don't think it actually counts as them actually taking a turn, they're just like interruption attacks. So I believe, I think the way I had it set up is that Raijin debuff was on them, and like they just couldn't hurt me anyways. And even though they did more than 2 attacks, the Raijin debuff I don't believe decreased, but I didn't actually pay attention to it. So we can kind of pay attention to it now that I'm watching it as a replay. But here goes the Raijin debuff, which is a very, very good call, by the way, right? Literally, this debuff that the enemies have, make it so they can't damage you and they can't debuff you. It's very good. Which is why I do recommend, like, it's actually very nice they put Raijin on Jack Garland's banner. Look at that damage coming out there, by the way. All those numbers. So yeah, there they are getting little interruption attacks. But you can see there, that was an interruption attack, and you see he still has 2 turns of the Raijin debuff. So, even though he interrupted an attack, it didn't actually count as a turn. So that's really nice. You can get a lot of utility. So my thought is, as long as I can stay ahead of their turns and not give them, like, actual legitimate turns, I can actually, like, really live off of that Raijin debuff and not really have to worry about getting hurt here, right? Because I do know that going into this fight, I heard people talking about, like, yep, they're kind of dangerous, you want to bring mitigation or whatever. So this is an example of how you can really, like, without putting mitigation in the party, if you bring the right calls, you can still bring a very offensive team comp, which is exactly what I've done here, right? Now, we do go through periods where we start to hit 1s here, but it doesn't matter because Garland, one, he's built for the fight, so he does very heavy damage, but he's also got auto break. So the enemies, even though they get like some really nasty brave stats here, we can just break them with Garland and it's fine. The other thing is they are under the Raijin debuff also, so even if the HP plussed us, it wouldn't matter, we would still survive, we would take 0 damage, right? So I believe, yeah, and you can see I've got Jack Garland set up with some turns coming up. So my thought is here, and there I re-quick parried him because now I'm under the BT effect with Lunafreya. So I want to make sure he gets 4 turns. And now my thought is we're basically into force time. We're at 94%. So basically what my hope is that we can somehow break the enemies and get them behind Jack Garland, right? So I'm thinking that Kain's going to be able to do that. Because I think their ones come from like magic resist or something. I didn't actually look at their kit. The enemies, I just kind of jumped in here. Yeah, but you see Kain broke him no problem. Because he's more physical damage, so that was fine. So yeah, basically we're at the situation where... So I used Rising Dive to jump in the air, but I decided to Rising Dive again just to break the other enemy. I pushed them both behind Jack Garland. So you can see they still have 2 turns of Raijin debuff. I haven't given them a legit turn yet. So as long as you're willing to stay in front of the enemies and be very aggressive, you can just throw that Raijin debuff on and you're good. Because now I've got 4 turns of Jack Garland to kind of set up. So I'm thinking I need to get his BT effect up. I actually want to use the Rain's Call because I want to get launching going. The launching doesn't work as well as I would like because the enemies do like really heavily hinder Brave gains. And like Lunafreya is only going to hit once, so she gets pretty useless on the launches, but we have it. We do get damage out of it. What's really nice about it though... Oh yeah, that's right. So I remember the main reason I brought Kain to this and not like another off turn, because I saw people try to do runs with core and stuff, but why I like using Kain in this instance as the off turn is because this fight heavily hinders Brave gain, right? And Kain, while he's up in the air, he holds all of his Brave. So you can see Kain's Brave just stays capped, so he's always dealing good damage up in the air. Whereas if I say brought Cisne or brought Core, if they're dealing ones, they actually won't put up good damage. So Kain was ideal here because he holds his Brave while in the air. So I know I commented about Kain earlier, but it wasn't about him doing like physical or melee damage. It was more about, because I knew Kain wasn't going to be a contributor to the force time here, right? The reason we brought Kain was he holds all that Brave while he's up in the air. So now we can go in and Garland's just dealing heavy damage. So we're kind of setting up here, and you know, they get big Brave shields or whatever, it doesn't really matter, but we got our force time started. Now you can see they're gonna, I do believe they start jump cutting. Yeah, they're stealing free turns here, but once again, it's okay, because our Raijin is still active, so we're still good. Right, so now this guy's going to go, and you can see he actually got a miss because he attacked Kain. That's the other thing, is Kain is kind of like an evade tank, because if he's up in the air, you can't hit him, which is good. So now I'm like, alright, I got to get Rain's Call on, because I want the launching. And I'm like, and I want to pull Lunafreya up. I don't want to pull Kain up next. But yeah, I kind of debate on it, but I'm like, yeah, let's just do it. Because what I was kind of worried about was like, are they just going to steal another turn? Am I going to be in danger? But I knew I still had Raijin debuff active. But yeah, we're just dealing a bunch of ones here, right? So you can see the launch damage isn't going to be crazy. Like, Rain's up there hitting ones, and he's got defense ignore, right? So whatever they have in their kit is just heavily hindering it. So now I think we're about ready. Well, let me see, I'm on turn 9. Yeah, so this worked out perfect. Because, like, literally now I LD. That's an auto break. We deal a bunch of damage, right? And we're on that magic number turn 8 of force time. This is my favorite turn number to go into force time, because basically I've got my brother summon, which is a giant nuke, and that's going to, basically we're going to come out on turn 1 and be able to pop that and nuke. So now we're going to go into Jack Garland's first, and it's like, alright, let's see how much damage this bad boy can do. Considering they're already at like 80-something%, I'm like, yeah, these guys are going to melt like butter, I think. I think this is going to be a pretty easy here. But Jack Garland's force is pretty easy to navigate. He gets unlimited skill uses of his 15 and 35. So I pretty much just like alternate the attacks until I have 3 attacks left before the burst. So basically when he has 4 attacks left, then you go EX, LD, and then his second force attack, and then the 4th attack is his burst attack. You basically are just saving his best attacks for when you have the highest percent gauge, right? So the enemies will just start evaporating at this point. Pretty crazy. And we've got our brother summon ready to go. But just look at all of the free damage. Like, all the double HP dumps that come out from the true HP damage from the negative Brave. Yeah, here's where Lunafreya is useless. But Kain, this is the sneaky part. When Kain's up in the air, he can participate in launches, and he never loses his Brave. So you can see how Kain is so effective on the launching, even though the enemies are hindering Brave gains. You see Lunafreya's struggling, right? And she can't even Brave up because she only does like 4 damage. So Lunafreya with her, 3,000 Brave, I think on this one I actually HP attack with her because it's like, Otherwise, I only gain 4 Brave anyway, so I might as well just do the little mini attack and get something in here, yeah. Because even with the, I mean, we still get the true HP damage with it, right? So, like, HP attacking with Lunafreya actually wasn't a bad idea, because we get the HP damage from the negative Brave anyways. So even though Lunafreya is at low Brave numbers, still HP attacking during the launch was fine there, actually. Alright, so we're going through, we got Lightbringer now. Really huge damage, once again. From having the negative Brave, like, you just see all the millions of red HP damage numbers pop up. It's pretty impressive. So there I Brave attack, but yeah, I don't know, if you deal 0 HP damage, I don't know if it would have triggered the true damage or not. It probably would have. I probably should have just HP attacked even at 0, but that's fine. We just Brave there, because it wasn't much damage we're losing. It was like 200k or something that we're getting on the true HP damage here, but pretty nasty damage. I mean, he's just melting them away, and the thing with Jack Garland is he's not really like a finesse character. Like, he's pretty darn easy to play. He's pretty much like a giant caveman, press buttons, do a lot of damage. It's literally just make sure you have the EX or LD buff up at all times. That's all you really got to pay attention to with this guy. Obviously, you want his follow-ups, but that's from the 15 or 35, and you're bound to press those at some point, right? Those are going to be kind of your filler attacks anyway, so you're just going to naturally upkeep that. So here we go with more heavy damage. We're at 613%, and the Soul Burst power-ups or the follow-ups are just nasty. Here comes some more launch damage. Yep. And yep. Alright, so he's dead. That was a 21 million launch. With still like a couple more turns of force time to go, right? And then once again, even Kain is helping out, even though he's dealing once, because he's so ideal for this fight. Because he doesn't need Brave gains, and he doesn't actually need to deal Brave damage, and he still deals good HP damage. So I've actually seen other people run Kain in this fight as well, and yeah, he works wonders here. So there we are. Casual 126 million burst phase. No sweat, right? 126 mil, no problem. And that's with the heavy Brave Gate hindrance. Like, if Lunafreya was operating properly and we were getting full, like, launch damage out of her, like, that would have been pushed way higher. But yeah, just a very easy 126 mil. Now, the enemy does some interruption attacks there, but it doesn't matter. We're fine. No HP damage. And that, like, it's just, you can see I'm just, like, mashing the summon button. Like, just let me summon. Just let me summon. Because here's going to be, like, a 15 mil shot and he's done. So, there you go, guys. That's my run. And this ended up being only 6 turns. We'll show my final victory screen here. But this was pretty clean and easy, actually. Kain doesn't even get to celebrate with us because he's still floating up in the air. But there you go. 6 turn clear. Not too shabby. So anyways, guys, let me know how your runs are going. Thanks for watching. We'll catch y'all on the next one.